Hello, in this video we are going to cover the debt diet. You might be wondering, why do we have a picture of Oprah Winfrey here? And no, you are not going to get a free iPad like a few times you say you get an iPad, you get an iPad. But realistically, in all seriousness, the debt diet was popularized by Oprah Winfrey because she talks about several topics, including finance, and it was popularized on a show on 17th of February 2006. So that's just like a little bit of history lesson. And the debt diet is basically 8 steps. 8 steps to the debt diet, which is pretty darn cool. The debt diet is. So let's do step one. Step one is determine exactly how much debt you have. Exactly how much debt you have. And what this actually means is you might have multiple sources of debt. You might have student loans, you might have credit card, you might have multiple credit cards, you might have potentially a mortgage. Whatever it is, you bring it all together and you figure exactly how much you owe. So you might look at your credit card and might think, oh, it's only 2,000, but when you add it up, you've got 4 credit cards and they might be a total of 5,000. Then you might have student loans, which are, let's say, 50,000, and you might have a mortgage, which, let's say, is 150,000 left. Maybe you got car payments or you got a car loan. Before you know, you got quite a lot, and that's how it easily balloons up. Because you think, oh, it's only like a $10, $20 payment here and there. Before you know it, you're in hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt. Step two. Step two is eliminate. Spelling that incorrectly. Eliminate unnecessary expenses. So honestly, that's a pretty easy one. If you are going to work in the morning, you're grabbing a Starbucks coffee, could be any coffee, and let's say that's costing you £3 to buy, and you can make it at home for 20p and just take it in your own flask, then that's an unnecessary expense. Another unnecessary expense that you might want is, let's say, Netflix. These are all luxuries that you would like to have, but they're not necessary. So you figure them out and then you eliminate the unnecessary expenses. Step three is learn about the credit cards you have. Learn about the credit cards you have. I've also heard step three go by something like learn about the credit card game. I think that can be a bit confusing, almost like it's persuading you to use credit cards. But what it means is learn about how they work. One, how they work in general, and how your specific ones work. Exactly how much interest is being paid. Like if it's X amount of percentage, what does that mean in real terms? What does that mean not just on a month by month basis? What does that mean over the life of the loan? How much extra are you paying? What could you have used that money for? Are there any sort of advantages that you could, benefits that you could use with your credit cards to help pay things off? Learn about which credit cards have a higher interest rate. Let's say you have 4 credit cards, you're paying each one off every single month, but one is a really low interest rate, one's a really high one. It would make sense to pay off the really high one first and then concentrate on the others. So that's what learn about the credit cards you have means. Step four is learn to cut back on your spending habits. Learn to cut back on your spending habits. So pretty simple. You have a habit, and a habit is something that you do on a regular basis. It's just easy to do. So if you basically use a credit card, don't carry. If you have a tendency to think, I can't afford this, I want it, I got a credit card, I can technically get it now, let's pay back later. Just rip up your credit card, leave it at home. Only use that credit card if you absolutely need to. So that's another way of eliminating debt, and that's step 4. Step 5 is develop a monthly spending plan. So that's pretty simple. You basically give yourself a budget, and you'll be realistic. It's going to include your house costs, your necessary expenses like transportation, food, and other expenses you may have, and the debt that you owe as well. So if in total, you realistically can't get away with spending less than 1,500 on everything necessary, including the debt payments, don't try and say to yourself, "Oh, I only want to spend 1,000," because that's so stupid as well. Just means don't go into excess and get subscriptions to stuff that you don't need, magazines, online streaming services, go to cinema unnecessarily. So that's basically what that means. Step 6 is develop ways to increase your income. Develop ways to increase your income, because saving is all well and good, but that will only get you so far. That can only get you from, let's say, 1,000 to 0. But if you are earning 2,000, you could go to 3,000, 4,000, 40,000, 40 million, 40 billion. You can see it's hard, but it is technically almost limitless how much you can earn. So you want to figure out ways of increasing your income. That could be maybe educating yourself and trying to get a promotion, or trying to get a different role in the company, getting a different job, maybe taking on more than one job. Maybe you got some hobby that you could turn into some sort of job, something along those lines. Maybe it also means that relocating to a different location would mean you could walk to work, but as a result you'll save money. So it's almost like you're increasing your income as a result, your sort of disposable income, just to put it that way. Step 7 is to develop a customized plan to get rid of your debt. Develop a customized plan to get rid of your debt. It doesn't matter what sort of plan other people have. Ultimately, you gotta find a plan that works for you. You gotta determine, what debts should be paid off first. Remember, I was saying back in step 3, when you learn about the credit cards you have, you can figure out which ones have to be paid first. That's part of your customized plan. You have to figure out the age of the debt, how much of the how big the debt is, and what can happen if you don't actually pay it back. So obviously, if there's a debt, if you don't pay back and you just get some small fees and you don't really have any ramifications other than that, compared to, let's say, you have a debt that is your house, and if you don't pay that back, maybe there's huge fees plus they take away your house. That's obviously a more important debt that you need to take care of. Step 8 now, the final step. So this is determine why you spend money and try to change it. So this is a very hard one for people to look at. So determine why you spend money and try to change it. So most people don't want to admit they have some sort of problem or some sort of fault. They feel like admitting this sort of stuff is only for people that are alcoholics or have some sort of addiction. But spending and consumerism can be an addiction in itself. So you need to figure out why you spend money. Maybe it's to fill some sort of void from your childhood, and the things that you never got as a childhood, you are just basically looking for toys. They might not be like Buzz Lightyear and Woody. They might just be like fancy toys like cars and fancy holidays. But those toys are a lot more expensive as well. So that's something to figure out. So you want to figure out why you spend money and you want to try and change it. Sometimes you might need to seek professional help, some sort of psychological or counseling that will help you get out of it. So let's just recap. Step 1 is determine exactly how much debt you have. Step 2 is eliminate unnecessary expenses. Step 3, learn about the credit cards you have. So this is essentially figuring out how your credit cards work, which ones have higher interest, and etc. And the punishments along with it, that you can figure out which ones are better to be paid down first. Step 4, learn to cut back on your spending habits. Step 5, develop a monthly spending plan. Step 6, develop ways to increase your income. Step 7, develop a customized plan to get rid of your debt. Step 8, determine why you spend money and try to change it. So that's it. We just covered the debt diet that was popularized by Oprah Winfrey on the 17th of February 2006. If you have any questions, feel free to pop me a message. And as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.